don't commonly feature private gardens during our journey with the garden writers, but this landscape contains a little bit of history that begs to be shared. This property is part of an estate that was designed by Jens Jensen in 1922. Jensen was born in Denmark, and he moved to Chicago as an adult, where he practiced landscape architecture during the early part of the 1900s. Jensen drew his inspiration from the native prairie landscapes and woodland landscapes throughout the Midwest region, and we could see elements of this in his designs. Particularly, he would use natural elements such as the rock work, which is quite common throughout his designs, and also native plants. Now, one architectural form that Jensen used repeatedly in his work is the council ring, and this is a simple stone circle with a central area where you could have a fire. Now, Jensen intended these spaces to be used socially. Perhaps you might gather to read some poetry, share stories, sing songs, or even dance. It's very special that this little piece of history survives today, as much of Jensen's work has been lost. Joining me now is Dr. Gilbert and Mrs. Emily Daniels. Well, thank you so much for welcoming us to your home and landscape. It's really very lovely.
We enjoy sharing it with people.
How did you come to learn about this historic landscape here that you're living at?
Well, in the beginning, of course, I had no idea who Jensen was. I didn't know much about gardening, but I was very interested, although my eldest daughter is a landscape architect, and my son is an architect, and I guess it's all sort of in our genes that we were sort of interested.
It's rubbed off a little bit, huh?
So I brought up 4 children here. They had a wonderful time. I had no time for gardening then.
Oh, I'm sure.
But when they sort of got up and out, then I started. And my eldest son said, well, Mom, you ought to look at some daylilies. That's just when they started getting very, very popular. So I went hog wild and collected daylilies. And then when that wore off, I started on hosta.
You have a beautiful hosta collection.
Then I sort of like hellebores, but in all, we love it all. And we've tried many, many plants. Some have been successful, and a lot of them have not.
Anything we think will grow here, we give it a try.
Well, and we'll share with our viewers, you happen to be a botanist.
I'm a botanist, but really a botanist, this is horticulture.
Yeah,
Botanists deal with dead plants, horticulturists deal with live plants.
And you have some very unique plants here in your landscape.
Yes. And so with many things we've come across that looked interesting, anytime we see something, we'll give it a try if we think it has a chance here. And surprisingly, many things have done well that weren't expected to do well here.
What are some of the specimen trees you have out here? That
well, one of the most unique ones is way over there. You'll get a look at it. It's a swamp cypress, except that instead of the leaves growing down in the typical cypress, they go straight up.
Oh.
So it's
you walk right by it.
Yeah, and you have some really interesting evergreens as well.
Yeah.
Cryptomeria.
The cryptomeria.
That's Japanese forest tree. That's the primary timber tree of Japan. And well, there's a little of everything here. If you look around, there's a larch, and there's some upright English oaks.
Rubber oaks.
I miss the larch. They don't grow down south, but I used to live up north, and
well,
that's
ours
one of those trees I like.
has a nice top.
It's very nice. Well, the landscape to me is such a nice blend of more of that natural appeal, and then of course the more manicured areas you really have.
Well, I think our biggest problem was trying to make the transition from a formal area into the woods with plants to make it go together, and that's very difficult to do. You learn the hard way.
A landscape architect friend of ours was showing this to his class one time, and his only comment was that there isn't a straight line in the whole garden. But we've had fun laying out the beds. And
very curvilinear, very natural looking. And I think that ties in really well to the the bones of it originating
exactly.
from the Jensen landscapes. Those were very natural.
Yep.
He used a lot of native plants, and I'm sure some of those are still.
There are quite a few of them
pockets.
still here. We can show you individual trees
Well,
and shrubs that were put in by Jensen.
And one thing I understand about his landscapes is he would kind of play with the shadow and the light, and so you have some of the walkways kind of at the edge of the garden, and then you can look out into the open areas.
And we've sort of continued with that sort of pattern here. This council ring is beautifully located to just look at the rest of the garden from here.
Let's talk a little bit about the council ring. This is kind of a signature of the Jensen landscape.
Definitely.
And I'm sure when you found it, you weren't quite sure what it was.
Well, it was a stone ring.
Yeah.
This one's a little, at least I think it's, and all the ones I've seen pictures of are usually just piles of stones with uncut. But this one is made out of limestone, and the top, the sides are carved, and it's all fitted. The pylons are also limestone, and they have been cut on the edges, they have been cut out of pieces of limestone. They are not.
They look like they're just old stones piled up, but if you look closely, they're not. They're carefully trimmed and flat surfaces and all exactly the right height.
He didn't leave anything to chance, did he?
No, no.
And I know this was moved from its original location.
And we took photographs of it and documented it where it was, and we actually put it back exactly as it was.
And I think the way you cited it is really in harmony with how Jensen would have put it.
It would be.
Up on an elevated spot, kind of tucked at the edge of the wood, overlooking the rest of the garden.
Now you can see this is facing west, and there's the sun going down. And when you see the big lawn out there, as I said, when the sun is going down and you're driving in, look at the lawn, you'll see that the lawn is not flat. It's actually got shadows and shape to it. But
there's a lot
kind of playing with that light and shadow again.
There's a lot of very nice terrain here. Nowhere is it really level, and it slopes and rises again. And we've taken advantage of that in the way we've laid out where our beds are, where we have our paths through the woods.
So, how's it been for you to be a part of this history?
Oh, I enjoy it immensely.
well, look, I've been here for 50 years. I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I don't know where else I'd be. Wonderful. Love it.
Thank you so much.
It's so nice to have you all here, to be in your interest. Appreciate it.
Pleased to welcome you all to enjoy the garden.